Most people think freedom starts when they earn more from work. But real freedom starts when your money earns more than you do. That is the moment everything changes. Because when your investments make more than your job, you stop being the only engine in your life. You are no longer the only thing producing money. Your time is no longer the only asset. Your body is no longer the only machine. Your paycheck is no longer the only thing keeping everything alive. For most people, money only comes from one place: work. They wake up, they trade hours, they get paid. Then the money leaves. Bills, food, rent, debt, subscriptions, lifestyle. Then they do it again and again and again. That is the normal loop. Work creates money. Money disappears. Work creates more money. Money disappears again. But investing changes the loop, because investing is when your money starts working while you are not. Quietly, slowly, boringly, in the background. At first, it feels pointless. You invest a little money and nothing happens. Your account moves by a few dollars. Maybe it even goes down. You think, this is supposed to make me rich. And honestly, at the beginning, it feels like a joke. Because if you have $1,000 invested and it grows 8%, that is $80. That will not change your life. If you have $10,000 invested and it grows 8%, that is $800. Better. But still not freedom. But if you have $500,000 invested and it grows 8%, that is $40,000. Now your money is doing something serious. And if you have $1 million invested and it grows 8%, that is $80,000. That is not just a number anymore. That is a salary. That is the moment people finally understand why investing matters. Not because rich people are smarter, not because they found some magical secret, but because they built a machine big enough to matter. And once the machine is big enough, it starts producing results that look unfair. That is what happens when investments make more than a job. The same market return that looks useless on small money starts looking insane on big money. The percentage did not change. The base changed. That is the whole game. And this is why the beginning is so frustrating. Early on, your job does almost all the work. You save the money. You invest the money. You make the sacrifices. You say no to things. You avoid lifestyle creep. You keep going even when nothing looks exciting. You are pushing the snowball yourself. But eventually, if you keep feeding the machine starts pushing with you. And one day, your investments can grow more in a year than you saved from your job. That is a strange feeling. Imagine working hard all year to save $10,000. That takes discipline, that takes sacrifice, that takes real effort. Then your investments grow by $15,000 in the same year. Without you clocking in, without overtime, without asking permission, without commuting, without a boss. Your money just did more work than your work did. That is the shift. And once you experience that, you never look at money the same way again. Because you realize your job is not the final goal. Your job is the tool that builds the machine. Most people treat their paycheck like the prize. But the paycheck is not the prize. The paycheck is the fuel. The prize is owning assets that eventually pay you back. That is why two people can earn the same income and end up in completely different lives. One person earns money and spends almost all of it. Better car, better apartment, better phone, better weekends, more comfort, more payments. Their lifestyle gets richer, but their future stays poor. The other person earns money and uses part of it to buy assets, index funds, retirement accounts, cash reserves, a business, real estate, skills, things that can grow or create income. Their lifestyle may look less impressive at first, but behind the scenes, something is happening. Their money is turning into more money. And that is where wealth begins. Not when you look rich, when your money starts producing. That is the difference between income and ownership. Income pays you when you work. Ownership can pay you because you own something valuable. Your job requires your time. Your investments require patience. Your job stops paying when you stop showing up. Good assets can keep working after you stop. That is why wealthy people are obsessed with ownership. They want to own pieces of things, businesses, funds, real estate, equity, cash flowing assets, not because they hate working, but because they understand that work alone has a limit. There are only so many hours in a day. There is only so much energy you can give. There is only so much overtime you can do. At some point, if money only comes from your effort, your life stays tied to your effort. And that is not freedom. That is just a better paid cage. The goal is not to stop working tomorrow. The goal is to slowly reduce how much your life depends on work. That is what investments do. First, they pay nothing meaningful, then they pay a little. Then they cover small bills, then they cover months, then they can compete with your job. Then eventually they can replace your job, not overnight, not in some fake internet way, but slowly through years of building. That is the part most people do not want to hear. They want the result without the boring phase. They want the beach, the freedom, the passive income, the money pays you moment. But they do not want the years where the investing account looks small. They do not want the years where the growth feels invisible. They do not want the years where saving money feels pointless. But that boring stage is where the machine is built. Nobody sees it. Nobody claps. Nobody cares that you invested another $300. Nobody gets impressed because you avoided another useless payment. Nobody notices the boring transfer. But those boring moves are what create the future moment where your money starts paying you. That is why the rich get richer. It is not just because they earn more. It is because their money begins adding force to their income. A broke person usually has one worker, themselves. A wealthy person has two workers, themselves and their money. Eventually, their money becomes the stronger worker. That is when the game changes. Because when your investments make more than your job, your decisions change. You stop needing every opportunity. You stop panicking over every small problem. You stop feeling trapped by one income source. You stop seeing your boss as the only person who controls your financial life. You have options. And options are what money is really about. Money is not just for buying things. Money is for buying choice. The choice to leave a bad job. The choice to take a risk. The choice to rest, the choice to help family, the choice to say no, the choice to not be desperate. That is real wealth. But to get there, you have to understand one thing. Your investments cannot help you if you keep interrupting them. This is where most people lose. They start investing, then life gets expensive, they pull the money out, they start again, then they upgrade their lifestyle, they stop contributing, they start again, then the market drops. They panic and sell. They start again. Then they need money for something they did not plan for. They pull from the account again. And then they wonder why investing is not working. But the problem is not always investing. The problem is interruption. Your investments need time to become powerful. They need money. They need consistency. They need protection. You cannot plant a tree and dig it up every few months to check if the roots are working. You have to leave it alone long enough to grow. That is the hard part, because the world is constantly trying to make you spend the money before it becomes powerful. A better car is tempting now. A bigger apartment is tempting now. A trip is tempting now. A new phone is tempting now. Looking successful is tempting now. Investing is future focused. Spending is immediate. And immediate is very good at winning. That is why you need a system. Not just motivation. Motivation will disappear. A system keeps going. Automatic transfers, monthly investing, an emergency fund so you do not raid investments, low fixed costs, less debt, a lifestyle that does not eat every raise. That is how you build the machine. You do not become free by hoping money is left over. You become free by sending money to freedom first. Before the month eats it, before emotions eat it, before lifestyle eats it, before random spending eats it. Because if your future only gets the leftovers, your future will stay weak. Now, this does not mean you should only invest and never enjoy life. That is not the point. Money should make life better. But if you spend everything your job gives you, your job will always need to keep giving. And that is the trap. A paycheck can buy comfort, but assets can buy freedom. A paycheck can pay bills, but assets can reduce fear. A paycheck can make life nicer, but assets can make life less dependent. That is why the goal is not just to earn more, the goal is to own more. Because earning more without owning more can still leave you trapped. You can make a huge salary and still be fragile. If every dollar goes to lifestyle, you are not rich. You are just expensive. But someone with a normal income who keeps buying assets every month can slowly become powerful, not loud, not flashy, but powerful, because their money starts staying with them. Then it starts growing. Then it starts paying them back. And one day the numbers become hard to ignore. Your investments grow by more than your monthly expenses, then more than your rent, then more than your savings from work, then maybe more than your entire job. That does not happen quickly, but it does happen for people who build long enough. And when it happens, your relationship with work changes. Work becomes less desperate. You may still work. You may even work harder, but it feels different because you are not working only to survive. You are working because you choose to keep building. That is a completely different kind of life. When you need the paycheck, work feels like pressure. When your money also pays you, work starts feeling more like leverage. You can make smarter moves, you can negotiate better, you can walk away from bad deals, you can stop accepting disrespect just because bills are due. That is the hidden power of investments. They do not just grow money, they grow your ability to say no. And saying no is one of the most valuable things money can buy. So how do you actually move toward this? First, stop thinking of investing as something that only matters when you are rich. Investing is how you slowly stop being dependent on only your labor. Even small amounts matter because they train the habit. Second, build a gap. You need money left over. No gap, no investing, no asset machine, no future income. The gap is where the machine begins. Third, keep your lifestyle from swallowing every raise. Every raise is a choice. It can become more comfort now or more freedom later. The mistake is letting every increase in income become a new normal, because then your income rises, but your freedom does not. Fourth, protect your investments from emergencies. This is why a cash buffer matters. If every emergency forces you to sell investments, your machine never gets time to grow. Your emergency fund protects your investing account from your real life. Fifth, be patient with the boring years. The boring years are not wasted. They are the years where the machine is being built. The problem is that early progress looks small, but small progress repeated long enough becomes serious. That is how money starts paying you. Not with hype, not with luck, not with some secret trick, with money consistently moving into assets and staying there long enough to matter. So here is the final thought. Most people spend their whole life being paid by one thing, their job. And that is why they feel trapped. Because if work stops, money stops. But when your investments begin paying you even a little, your life starts changing. At first, your money pays you coffee money, then bill money, then rent money, then salary money, and maybe one day, freedom money. That is the path. Your job is not the enemy. Your job is the starting engine. Use it to build the machine. Because the real goal is not just to get paid. The real goal is to own something that pays you back. Subscribe for more simple animated finance videos.